Good day. The Empower channel loves to bring you people of talent. And today we have a person of talent and a person of experience. Dave Chamberlain, give us a quick hello if you would.
Oh, hello, and I'm honored to be here.
Dave Chamberlain, third degree black belt under Kovars Kenpo. Are you ready? CEO of the Kovars Satori Martial Art Academy and a wonderful, I might say, success coach. You've been there with the organization since 2006. And why I said a guy of experience, because you're kind of like a seasoned senior executive coming from the corporate, huge profile world. I mean, IBM, Gateway, Novell. Moreover, I wish you could be, Dave, a little more busy. You're overseeing 8 company-owned Kovars from the Sacramento greater area. Moreover, the Kovar system division consults a lot of schools. I mean,
Yes.
you're doing curriculum training, consulting services. I mean, if I had a bus company, you would be in the depot seat. You'd be in the pilot chair because you talk to a lot of school owners every day. I think you have the pulse on what's going on. And so I'm so glad that you're here. First of all, you have a why statement that I've heard you repeat before. Can you share a little bit of that?
Yeah, and just before I share it, I'll tell you that it took us a year to develop this why statement. It's 3 words, and so you might think it took you a year, but we went back and forth because we wanted it to be so impactful, not just for our team, but for people who might hear about us outside. So our why statement is shape the world. It's what we get up every morning hoping to do, shaping that world in a positive way. And so if you ask any of our staff about the why statement, they know it, and they'll tell you in great detail what it means.
Dave, talking about shaping the world, I mean, given the state of the world right now, you have, what impact has this had on your organization? Let me ask you that first.
So the coronavirus has had a tremendous impact on our organization and martial arts schools everywhere. And it's we had to close our facility on March 16th, and so we haven't been in our schools teaching. Luckily for us, we've wanted to do some things online for a long time, and so we actually started last year starting to develop what we call Kovars TV. And when this all hit, we were ready to go with our online training. So we really haven't missed a step in doing the online portion, but it has impacted us. I mean, we've had to do things differently, try to do things better, and really get a connection with people from a remote way. It's interesting that you're trying to develop relationships over a computer, and so it's just a new way of doing things, and we've had to really hone our skills in doing it.
From the students' eyes, how do you think their experience has been impacted?
Well, I think it took them a while to get used to it. For some, it was getting used to the technology. But then in not being next to someone or having a training partner or using mom's kitchen chair as your training partner, that's all new, but they've really adjusted well. And I think our team has done just a fabulous job in doing private lessons and trying to provide as much value as possible. That's been the whole focus for the last 6 weeks now, 8 weeks, is just give as much value as we can.
And if I were to follow up to say, what are 2 or 3 tidbits of value that's unique that your organization has been providing, what would you say?
Well, I think it's trying to keep people who are normally in a large classroom setting feeling like they're still in that class. So the classes that we're doing are full, and so we've got people who are coming on, and we're trying to make sure that people are interacting. At the same time, to provide that individual training that allows someone to go from one belt level to the next. So we did a belt promotion recently. And the way we did it is we took the belts and we passed out, I think, 450 belts where we drove around and dropped them off on their porch. We didn't try to talk to them or ring the doorbell, but let them know that it was coming. And the point was that you're still part of a larger group, but that there's an individual touch that we're trying to give to you and congratulating you on continuing your training. So that would be the, yeah.
Great. I know that you shared a little bit about how your organization has pivoted and adjusted strategically to this point, but I'm asking you to go about 6 months down the road. What do you still need to do to adjust and pivot and strategically organize for 6 months down the road?
So 6 months down the road, we think we're still going to be providing online training. We'll be in our schools. We hope that they'll be reopened, but I think there'll be some hesitancy on some people's part to come in and re-engage. So we may still face some of that. But we're still going to have a digital presence. And so we're even thinking about having a 9th academy that would be just an online academy that you go to if you missed your in-school instruction, or if you are just more comfortable training at home. And then we're going to be providing more equipment and things that you can get into your home gym experience that allows for almost being at the dojo, making it feel as much like the dojo as possible, and yet still requiring you to come in because we've got belt promotions and those kinds of things where we'd like to see you.
Great. Dave Chamberlain, every day it seems like you carry a lot of weight on your shoulders with the outside consulting. And on the internal side, you know that it's difficult to sometimes manage the 8 schools. I mean, you can't micromanage the thing because you'll never finish your day. You know, you'll be uptight and stressed out. And so there's a part of you that says, I got to decentralize how I organize this organization, and I've got to find the right team players. So where has your mind been? I know you've been there since 2006, but lately you've been really excited and focused in on a topic. Can you share that with us?
Sure. So I think we've all been in the position where we've lost one of our staff members, and we want to fill that hole because it's painful not to have someone there doing the things that have been done in the past. And so we want to try and fill it as quickly as we can so that we don't impact anyone's experience. At the same time, it's really important that you get people into your organization, you attract people that fit your culture. I don't know how many times you think you've got the exact right person, and it turns out that they're not. Not that they're not a great person, they're just not right for your organization. And so we read a book a couple of years ago by Patrick Lencioni, who is just this wonderful author. He authors books and has kind of a whole practice behind what he does now in terms of business ideas that have a fable to them. And the name of this book, The Ideal Team Player, talked about finding people that are hungry, humble, and smart. And his whole point was there are lots of great people out there, but if you attract people that don't fit whatever criteria you have, that they won't be a good employee. So knowing what you are, kind of your why statement, knowing what you are is so important as a first step. So when we do the interview process, we're going to ask a lot of questions that people don't normally get in an interview about them personally, and trying to find out more about how they tick. And then we put them into scenarios so that we can see how they think and act and see if it lines up with the way that we want people to think and act. And it's just been a really, really meaningful experience. And the book itself, we had a couple of open positions that we hired for using the book as kind of our model. We hired 2 of the best people ever. And I don't know if we would have gotten there had we not used the humble, smart theory.
Dave, let me drill down a little bit there, because it's great as the end game to hire the qualities of humility and hungry and smart. When you're in that Q&A interview, how do you find out if somebody is humble? And when you're doing practical training somebody's coming into the organization? How do you find out if they're hungry and if they're smart? How do you do that? Let us bring back the curtain a little bit.
Sure. So let's say that I'm trying to figure out how hungry they are, and I want to try and interlace a little bit of how smart are they. And we're not talking about IQ smart. We're talking about social intelligence smart. And I might put them in a scenario where someone has come in and they're attempting to get a better deal than perhaps what is being offered, that they're becoming pretty adamant that they want a certain price. And we ask them, how would you handle that? And you'd be amazed at where people go with that discussion. And you end up either feeling really good about their answer or, oh my gosh, that's not going to work. And so I'm going back, this actually happened. We had this one candidate who just looked so good, was so polished, was so professional. We put them in that scenario and his answer was horrible. And we got a little bit of insight into his thought process. And then the other person who, was very attractive, just a really smart person. We liked her a lot, but as we did the scenarios, she just blossomed and became even more. And we ended up making her the hire, and she's probably now one of our very, very best employees.
So following up, how do you gauge on humbleness? I mean, that seems a little bit esoteric. How do you find that?
I think sometimes you have to kind of go into their background. You have to talk to them about situations that they've had in their life where they've had to do something that was really hard, and how did they handle it? When they've been rejected in the past, how did they feel? And when you start to ask those kinds of questions, invariably somebody will give you their true colors and how they responded. What's the most difficult thing that's ever happened to you in the hiring process? Or have you ever lost a job? Or have you ever just not won a competition? How did you go about handling that? And you'll find out pretty quickly where they stand on the humbleness scale.
Mr. Chamberlain, I love to ask this question as if I were a prospective employee or staff team member of you. And so I would ask the question and let you think on your feet. As a potential program manager or instructor for your organization, I know that your criteria is really up high. I would ask you this question. Are you ready? Why would if I were to work for you down the road, why would I want to work for your organization?
Well, I think the first thing is there's a higher purpose for what we do. And I think a higher purpose at this point in time in history, more than ever before. Martial arts schools are needed more now than they've ever been before. Courage and discipline and all the things that we talk about are needed now. And so we feel really good about what we're doing now, whether it's online or in the academies. But you're going to wake up every day with shaping the world. And it's not about, if you come in thinking I'm teaching martial arts or I'm managing a program about martial arts, you're wrong. That's not what we're doing. We're shaping the world, and there's a higher purpose for what we're doing. And are you going to go home at night feeling great every single day? No, but you're going to go home most of the time feeling like you're making a difference in the world. You're getting paid we like to think a really good wage, and you have opportunities to advance. And so those are the reasons that I think people like to come to work for us.
Sounds like you're trying to build like a well-oiled machine. And
I'm trying to recruit you.
Thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere. Let me just say that trying to find that ideal workplace that over the last year, you've been kind of finding some missing pieces and having great success. So overall, the attributes and the team players, attracting the right people, how is that becoming a normal thing for you so you don't have as many misses as we have had in the past?
Well, I think right now this is for everyone, not just for us, but if people have the ability to hire right now, and many of us don't, but many of us do, if there is that ability, there are a lot of really, really good people who are without work right now and would love the opportunity, and they would be an excellent fit. But what we've learned, and we've made our share of mistakes, is that you don't rush the process, even though you may have this huge hole because a staff member left. sometimes the workload comes on the person doing the interview. And so they're very motivated to fill this opening. And so we almost wish for the person that comes in, we almost help them go through the interview because we want so desperately for them to fit. And then we miss the little cues that pop up that say, not that they're not a good person, they're just not a good person for our culture. And as we've learned through experience over time, we have learned to take our time and be patient and have enough interviews that we get to what they're all about and that they understand what we're all about.
I love this idea, and you're going right at it. You say, I like to hire out of selection and not desperation.
Exactly.
Because when we're in that place where we're hiring over a desperate situation, sometimes it comes back and it bites us a little bit.
We all do it. We all learn. You do it a couple of times and you think, okay, I think I've learned my lesson.
Dave, talking a little bit about reopening strategy. Cities and states are making individual decisions on reopening businesses at different times. And we know as martial arts schools, we got to make every effort to exceed the guidelines set forth by government agencies. Where's your mind on that as far as your organization goes? What's your strategy?
Strategy is to not only do the work that inspires confidence, but that there's also a perception that we're doing everything we possibly can, so that we may be putting some processes in place that we wouldn't necessarily have to do, but it helps convince those who might be skeptical coming into the school that we're taking every possible precaution for their benefit and for ours. So we're going to go overboard, and we're going to record it. So that what I'm urging my folks to do, and they're going to do it, we talked about it again this morning, is a video that highlights all of the new protocols that we're putting in place so that we can show someone that they can be comfortable coming into our academy or having their child come into our academy and doing the things so that it's not just we're doing the things, but that the perception is that we're doing the things, if that makes sense.
Great. So you go out with a video and you might talk about sanitation, or you might talk about social distancing on the mat or structure of the classroom. You're pulling your team together and you're finding out what those procedures are, and then you're going to share those procedures.
Yeah, and you just made a really good point, is that the team, it's not where I've got the managers or one or two people. I've urged everyone to pick the brains of the team, get them involved, because people have really good ideas. So we're going to do almost a 5-step approach, which is what happens at the front door, what are the procedures that happen at the front door, and little things that we've discovered is, let's say that we've decided to do a thermometer, a forehead thermometer to give a temperature. You know, that is private personal information. We can't just shout out, hey, he's 98.6. You've got to keep that information. You have to keep that for yourself because it's a HIPAA violation. And so there's little things that pop up that come through. So we've got the triage as you come in the door. We're going to have a consent form that you'll sign before you come back, just so that you know that we're doing all the following things to make your experience the best it can be. There's on mat. Then there's, how we're going to avoid traffic jams at the water fountain, so that social distancing stays in place, and that we've got the 6 feet between students laid out. There's a cleaning protocol that needs to be put in place, and not just, we've always been the cleanest place in town, but now we're going so far overboard on that, again, for the reality, but also for the perception. And then staff training becomes really important, that the staff knows how to run all these different stations, if you will, in the reopening process.
Excellent. I think I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
At least 2. One thing that I find is very rare about your organization, and it's consistent. You and Dave Kovar are like this. I mean, I know you probably have your times, but culturally, you guys are on the same page. You're marching to the same sheet of music. You're effortlessly, with great effort, going down that path, and you're the united front. Moreover, when I talk to you casually over the many years, you always are talking about how valuable your team is and how you want to take care of the team and how you care about their future. I mean, this is a repetitious theme that I hear from both of you guys. So talk about why culture is so important to you. What benefits are you going to get from that too? Not that you're doing it for just the benefit, but what do you say when I talk about culture?
So when we talk about culture, it's the belief, it's the mindset. It's as simple as, if you don't believe what I believe, if you don't believe what we all believe, then it's going to be difficult for you and it'll be difficult for us. So we want to attract people that believe what we believe. And so culture is really an expression of what the organization is and how they operate. And so we want people who embody that. And we've been fortunate in knowing, I guess, who we are and what we should be, and that we've attracted those kinds of people to fill those roles. And as a result, we've got this just incredible team. And so there's loyalty both ways. We're loyal to them, and the staff is loyal to us, and it imbues this loyalty that allows us to go forward. And it's
Great.
Just beautiful.
Wonderful. And you do that very well, by the way. So you and I might be classified as the perpetual optimist. And so I guess my question is leading you down a road, and down the road, a year down the road or further, how could this experience launch us, propel us, prepare us to have a great martial art organization and a great martial art field down the road when we get through the storm? What would you say?
Absolutely. That's the right point. So what we've been talking about internally is that this will make us stronger. And it's not just talk that you give to your staff to kind of get their mood to improve. It is so true that this is a challenge, and that we get sharper as we go through challenges. And so we think a year down the road, we're going to be better instructors, better managers, better in tune with our why statement, so that we've, during this time, emphasized even more shape the world with our team. And that we think a year down the line, a year and a half, 2 years, we are going to be so much improved. It's not unlike what happened in a way in 2008 when we hit the financial crisis. There were a lot of things that we had to change and do differently. And when we came out of that, we were so much stronger, so much better. And I firmly believe in another year or so, we're going to feel that same way about this particular crisis.
Okay, Chamberlain, I think you're one of the martial art business leaders out there that we can be proud of for your leadership and for your integrity and for your intellect too. You bring that to the table, your stability in situations where it needs your wisdom to carry us through. And I think you've done your part. And I think that we appreciate you at Empower, but I'm sure in addition to that, there's a lot of people out there that appreciate what you've done in front of the scenes and behind the scenes to stabilize, to have conviction, to see the light down the end of the tunnel. I think you've really done your part, and we're very appreciative of you as speaking from the martial art community.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Great. Keep up your great work. I know you're leaning forward into the breeze, and you're doing what you do terrifically each and every day. You're good for the martial art community.
Well, thank you, sir. And again, it's been an honor speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
Take care, sir.
Okay. That was really wonderful.
I wouldn't do that one again for another year. I just keep it just like it is. It was very natural to me anyway. I kind of, when you're doing an interview, kind of feel it the first 5 minutes, and it really felt good. But I want to ask Dave how he felt about it.
I feel good about it. I felt comfortable, and as long as you're comfortable with it, I'm fine.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's really good. I think it was what the doctor ordered. I think you'll like it. So I want to, from our heart, give appreciation for you taking out the time and allowing it to happen so naturally. And I think if the motive is to help the field out there, that's all it needs to be, is a great motive. And that's where I think you were coming from on that. So
Well, thanks again for the opportunity. I do appreciate it.
You did good. And if you were in our lunchroom every day, Ned is so funny because he works somebody when they visit, he works them to the bones. But then when we finally have lunch after he's recorded somebody all day, he says, "You've earned your lunch." So Dave Chamberlain, I think you earned your lunch today.
Well, thank you, sir. And look at all the best to you and all of my friends at Empower and EFC, and stay well, stay healthy.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Luce.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.